From the real reason Mavis's bangs are always uneven, to the shocking theory that Dracula secretly burned his own wife, today we're breaking down 10 hidden things you didn't notice in Hotel Transylvania. But first, if Mavis is your favorite character, drop a bad emoji right now. And if you're new here, hit subscribe because we do this every single week. Number 1. Did Dracula actually take the ring back after proposing to Erica? Something is seriously off about Dracula and Erica's relationship, and most people miss the signs. When Dracula first sees Erica, he falls for her instantly and proposes with a ruby ring. But then she moves into the hotel, and the ring is completely gone from her hand. No explanation, no scene, just gone. But then it gets weirder. At the anniversary celebration, Dracula barely speaks to her. When he sees her, he doesn't look happy. He looks uncomfortable. When Erica pushes him to hand the hotel over to Johnny, he almost breaks down entirely. And from Erica's side, when Dracula freezes up on stage, she just watches coldly. When he turns human, she doesn't even notice. And when Johnny nearly eats Dracula alive, Erica just stands there and does nothing. Here's the darkest part. Erica was never on his side to begin with. She ambushed him with a gun, shot at him from a submarine, and pretended to date him just to make him eat garlic. So did Dracula take that ring back based on everything? Probably yes. Number 2, the real reason Dracula ran instead of fighting for his wife. This is the question that has bothered fans since the first movie. Dracula is one of the most powerful beings alive. So why, when humans attacked him and Martha, did he grab Mavis and run, leaving Martha behind? 3 reasons, and each one actually makes sense. First, Mavis was an infant. In the chaos of a battle, there was no way to fight and guarantee her safety at the same time. If Dracula got distracted for 1 second, it wouldn't just be Martha in danger. Second, the numbers were impossible. Even the strongest vampire can't fight off an unlimited mob. The more he fought, the more humans would have joined in. And third, fighting back would have made everything worse. A direct clash between Dracula and a human army wouldn't end the conflict. It would have guaranteed a full-scale war between monsters and humans for generations. Running wasn't weakness. It was the only move that didn't make things worse. That doesn't make it hurt less, but it was calculated. Number 3, every monster in Hotel Transylvania has a dark, real origin. The backstories behind these characters are nothing like the fun movie versions. Dracula is based on Vlad III, a real historical figure who was known for impaling his enemies on wooden stakes. That image became the legend of Dracula. Mavis is inspired by Mephistopheles from Faust, one of the most evil demons in literary history, but one who also had genuine human emotions. That duality is exactly why Mavis could fall in love with a human. Jonathan comes from the original Dracula novel, where a young man named Jonathan is imprisoned in Dracula's castle and spends the rest of his life in captivity. Frank is built from Frankenstein's monster, a lonely creature stitched together from corpses, which explains why he's so desperate for friendship. Murray the mummy is sealed with embalming spices, which is why sand scatters wherever he walks. And Griffin the Invisible Man was once a brilliant scientist who invented invisibility and couldn't reverse it. Every character in this movie is carrying a tragedy from literature nobody talks about. Number 4, 6 small details in Hotel Transylvania that change everything. These are blink and you miss it moments across all 4 films. First, when Mavis was pregnant and transformed into a bat, her belly shrank proportionally because Dennis transformed too, inside the womb. Second, Mavis cuts her own bangs, and since vampires have no reflection, they always come out slightly uneven. She has never once seen them straight. Third, vampire pupils dilate when they feel affection. When Mavis first saw Jonathan, her pupils visibly widened on screen. Same thing happened to Dracula the moment he saw Erica. Fourth, after Mavis married Jonathan, she started appearing on camera and in security footage, breaking the classic rule that vampires have no reflection. Fifth, because of that same change, Jonathan might eventually become immortal. If Mavis's vampire traits shifted from being with a human, Jonathan's human traits might shift too. He could slowly become a vampire without anyone realizing. And sixth, the cruise ship in the 3rd movie was directly inspired by the Titanic, a quiet hint that the story on board was never going to go smoothly. Number 5, Jonathan's family might not actually be human. Here's a theory that sounds ridiculous until you look at the evidence. At the family dinner, Dracula goes completely out of character. He gives Jonathan's father the seat of honor, serves them personally, and flatters them at every turn. Dracula, the Lord of Hotel Transylvania, acting like a waiter. Why? Because he had already figured out they weren't normal. First, Jonathan's family walked into a hotel full of monsters and showed zero fear, not even a flinch at the strange food or bizarre creatures around them. Second, Vlad, Dracula's father, is so powerful that other monsters physically tremble and back away in his presence. Even Dracula fears him, but Jonathan's family sat with Vlad and chatted happily like it was nothing. Third, when Vlad threatened to destroy the hotel, Dracula didn't say a single word against him, but Jonathan stood up and openly challenged Vlad directly. Vlad hates humans. He should have destroyed Jonathan on the spot. He didn't. Dracula was sweating. Vlad backed down. Something about that family makes even the most ancient monsters hesitate. Number 6. 5 confusing things in Hotel Transylvania that nobody ever explains. These are plot points the movies just quietly leave unresolved. First, vampires can't control their own kind. That's established clearly. But Dracula can hypnotize Mavis and Dennis, his own daughter and grandson. How? Second, in the second movie, Mavis can't appear in wedding photos. But later in the same film, she shows up clearly on the hotel's security cameras. Same movie, 2 completely different rules. Third, Wayne and Wanda the werewolves have an impossible number of children across all 4 movies, but not one of those pups ever ages. Not a single one grows up across a decade of films. Fourth, vampire lore in this universe clearly states they only fall in love once in their entire lives. Dracula loved Martha, then he falls head over heels for Erica in the 3rd movie. The movie just moves on without addressing the contradiction. And 5th, Van Helsing reveals a ray gun in the 4th movie that is dramatically more powerful than anything seen before. So why didn't he use it in the 3rd movie when he had the chance? None of these have clean answers. The films just expect you not to notice. Number 7. 4 reasons nobody wants Dracula. Teaching Dennis Dracula loves Dennis, but he might actually be the worst possible role model for him. Here's why. First, just like his own father Vlad, Dracula cannot accept that Dennis has human blood. He desperately wants him to grow fangs, and he uses genuinely cruel methods to make it happen, deliberately terrifying Dennis and forcing Johnny's entire family to pretend to be monsters. Second, Dracula has a serious temper. He loses control in front of Dennis constantly, and a child who watches that behavior every day will eventually model it. Third, when Mavis puts on cartoons Dennis loves, Dracula mocks them out loud. When Mavis sings songs Dennis enjoys, Dracula cuts her off mid-song. Every one of those moments slowly chips away at Dennis's confidence. And fourth, Dracula has a control problem that runs in the family. He controlled Mavis her entire childhood, and now he's doing the same to Dennis, dictating what he's afraid of, forcing nighttime walks when Dennis just wants to sleep, blocking him from going to school. He means well, but meaning well and actually being good for someone are 2 completely different things. Number 8. The 3 heartbreaking reasons. Mavis's bangs are always uneven. This detail seems like a small cosmetic quirk, but the real reasons behind it are genuinely sad. First, Mavis has never seen her own face. When she and Johnny got married, she wasn't even in the wedding photos. Vampires have no reflection, no image, nothing. She has been cutting her own hair completely blind her entire life. Second, when Mavis was small, Dracula used to trim her bangs himself. They were always neat and perfect because he took care of it. But as she grew up and Dracula got consumed by running the hotel, he stopped. Nobody taught her technique. She just guesses every time. And third, vampire hair naturally splits and frays easily. Even on the rare occasion she manages to cut them somewhat even, they come apart again within days due to her hair's natural texture. That's why when she first met Jonathan, she kept nervously touching her hair. She had no idea if it looked okay. She had never once been able to check. She still hasn't. Number 9. The dark theory that Dracula secretly killed his own wife. This one is disturbing, and the details actually hold up. Mavis and Martha are supposed to be mother and daughter, but they look almost nothing alike. Mavis has round eyes, a fuller figure, and the same curly hair as a character named Ununas. Martha has curved moon-shaped eyes and a completely different build. So the theory is this: Mavis is not Martha's biological daughter. She's Ununas's child. And then it gets darker. Remember the story of Lady Lubov that Jonathan tells? A mysterious fire that killed 2 people with no explanation? Dracula denies it the moment it's brought up, but what if the fire wasn't mysterious at all? What if Dracula started it and stood outside watching while holding Mavis, letting Martha die? That would explain everything. Why he was so desperate to hide Jonathan's human identity from Mavis. Why he felt so guilty protecting her from the world. He wasn't just a grieving husband, he was a man hiding what he actually did. What do you think? Number 10. Everyone has been wrong about Griffin the Invisible Man. This whole time, here's the most unexpected character revelation in the entire franchise. Griffin the Invisible Man. Most people assume that because he's invisible, there's nothing much to him, but the evidence suggests he might actually be the most physically attractive character in the whole series. At a dance party, a female invisible person meets Griffin for the first time and falls for him immediately. Love at first sight. Love at first sight is almost always connected to physical appearance. That alone is a clue. But then in Hotel Transylvania 4, when Dracula gets turned human and the group rushes to help him, they pass through a cave with a crystal that reveals invisible things. Griffin's face appears, and he is genuinely, visibly, classically handsome. And going all the way back to the first film, when Dracula shows the monsters photos of humans to warn them, one of those photos is clearly a young Griffin before he became invisible. Strong, conventionally handsome, completely at odds with the bumbling side character the movies made him out to be. Griffin has been hiding in plain sight, and it turns out the most invisible character had the most to show. And that's all 10. Which one hit hardest? The theory that Dracula killed Martha, the invisible Invisible Man reveal, or the dark origin stories? Drop it in the comments. Hit like if you want part 2, and subscribe, because we find